We now head to the great state of Texas for the story of an unexplained phenomenon which occurred in, of all places, a suburban kitchen. March 2017. Erica Garner is home alone in her house just outside Houston. Her husband has left for a business trip.
I was outside, I was playing with my two dogs, and I noticed something very strange on my rooftop. There was black birds going in a circle. I had never seen that before.
This feels like some sort of omen as Erica goes back inside. She's giving water to her dogs when suddenly...
Oh! What was that?
Let's freeze on that, because if you blink, you'll miss it. A strange blue light streaking through the room, leaving Erica stunned and momentarily at a loss for words.
That was weird.
It was almost like plasma. Everything in the room turned completely white, almost like an explosion, and my eyes started burning.
Okay, it's really weird.
Even stranger, the flash only lasts a second, though Erica says it felt much longer.
What was that?
It traveled almost like it was a train coming across the room, slowly coming in for a stop. And this happened for all about 7 seconds.
And that night, things get downright funky.
I had trouble sleeping, I was having some strange dreams, and it definitely impacted me.
Erica's dreams of pink and purple galaxies make her feel like she's been transported through time. And she wonders if the blue flash could have been an extraterrestrial force.
Into my research, trying to figure out what possibly a blue beam of light could come from. People have said they've experienced alien abductions and they might see a blue beam of light.
One similar case happened in 1975. An Arizona logger named Travis Walton disappeared after walking toward an unidentified beam of light in the forest. He recalled being transported to a strange place surrounded by alien beings. And when he made it home, he was shocked to learn he'd been gone for 5 days.
There are definitely things in this world that we do not understand.
So what is Erica's blue flash? Well, we know it's not her security camera malfunctioning because we can hear her reacting in real time.
Oh, what was that?
So the first thing we did was a proper analysis of the footage. Photography expert Andrew McCarthy starts by examining the footage frame by frame.
So right after this, the camera lost several frames. You see a distinct jump. Her hair moves, the dogs move. It's just a significant jump. She said it was 7 seconds. I'm not sure if it was 7 seconds, but it was a long time, long enough that they significantly shifted positions.
But McCarthy says there's something else that's even stranger.
What didn't make sense to me is nothing here is casting a shadow. It seems like the light's supposed to be coming behind the camera to cause this, but you would see some kind of shadow cast on the legs of these chairs, you know, on the dogs, but you don't see any of that. It's just bright, and it's uniformly bright.
Forensic investigator Chase Klotsky is curious if the flash could be something as simple as a burnt-out light bulb. So she asks the Garners to run a test.
Erica and her husband put this light bulb in, and they tapped it. And if you tap it long enough, it burned out. Once you compare when the light bulb blows out and that reaction, and you put it next to the blue flash, they're not even close.
Okay, so if it wasn't a blown bulb, was it possibly a strike of lightning from outside? Atmospheric scientist Deanna Hentz reviews the local weather radar from that day.
What you're seeing is that a round of fairly intense thunderstorms went through the Houston area, but it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, whereas this video was taken at 11:30 in the morning. That really leaves me to think that lightning is not responsible for that flash.
Some experts believe wormholes in the universe create paths to move backwards in time and through parallel universes. Perhaps the blue flash was one such path.
I stand more on the side of this being a time glitch. It's an error in our time-space fabric.
What was that?
So what is it? The strange jump in the footage does point to some kind of time glitch, but whether it's caused by an alien force, a wormhole, or something else is unclear. So for now, I'm prepared to call this a genuine, unexplained phenomenon. One night in 2015, a group of veteran fishermen is out on a routine trip when they come across something they cannot explain. A camera on board captures a strange bright blue-green light glowing just below the surface of the lake. As you can see when the camera zooms out, the light stays put in the choppy waters as the ship heads back to shore. Locals have long believed strange things are happening below the surface here.
Lake Baikal is a hotbed of UFO activity. So if there's beings coming from a different planet, we would expect that they might want to set up a base here on Earth. So a place like Lake Baikal could be a very good location.
Journalist MJ Banias recalls one reported encounter in the lake that lends credence to this theory.
There's a strange story that comes out of Lake Baikal in 1982. Russian divers were operating under the water when all of a sudden they bumped into these strange creatures. According to the story, these creatures were wearing silvery suits. They were humanoid in appearance. The divers were so shocked by what they saw that they tried to quickly leave the area, and 3 died due to coming up too quickly from the depths of Lake Baikal.
This blue light has never been seen again. So who or what created it?
There is undoubtedly animal life down there that has yet to be found. Whether that animal life is alien in nature, that is still in the realm of speculation.
2/3 of the 2,000 plant and animal species living around Lake Baikal can't be found anywhere else in the world, so it's already a unique place. But does this video indicate there are extraterrestrial beings camping out there too? Let's let our experts have their say. First, we have video forensic analyst Michael Primo check whether the light could have been digitally inserted in the footage.
It doesn't appear to be CGI. It doesn't look like something that was added after the fact.
It's possible, then, that we're just looking at a searchlight from another unseen boat or an aircraft, based on how light should act on a lake such as this. But physics professor Michio Kaku throws cold water on that idea.
The surface ripples in all directions. Some of the light would have been reflected in different angles, but we see no evidence of an external light source.
An external light source would fan across the water like this, but we see nothing like that here. That also rules out the reflection of the moon. So if it's something under the lake, marine biologist Shay Conger examines if it could be coming from a man-made underwater vessel.
You wouldn't have an artificial light on during the night if you wanted to study animals in their natural environment. So it seems pretty unlikely this is some sort of a research vehicle.
It's well known that bioluminescent marine life glows at night, but Conger doubts that's what is happening here either.
We don't actually have any bioluminescent animals in Lake Baikal. It's a freshwater body of water. In addition, bioluminescent animals tend to act in kind of a flashy manner. We would see a flash of light and then it would dissipate. This is a solid light source, so I can actually rule out the fact that it might be some type of animal. I'd conclude that this is some sort of underwater technology that's really difficult to understand or make sense of.
Our verdict? This is still an unexplained phenomenon. We can't say for sure whether or not it's from something extraterrestrial. But 2 years after this incident, a mysterious mass death of seals in the lake also baffled researchers. So something fishy is definitely happening. We'll keep an eye on it. It's an overcast evening in 2018, just after Christmas in New York City, a place that's seen it all. But as one resident is walking to work in Brooklyn that night, he spots something even the most jaded New Yorker can't ignore.
Yo! Do y'all see this?
The man pulls out his phone and records what appears to be a pulsing blue light in the airspace just above the city. The giant glow turns the entire sky around it an eerie shade of blue.
Yo, my heart is beating like see my heart.
The onlooker can barely keep it together as he talks to his girlfriend, who also can't believe what she's seeing.
Get my glasses, because I see this, but I'm not seeing. Yo, I gotta call Leroy and tell him to see this.
This sighting has a disconcerting similarity to other incidents of immense bluish glows in the night sky around the world, like this one in Latvia in 2015, or this one in France in 2021. The proliferation of videos like these have helped fuel a widely debunked apocalyptic theory. Journalist MJ Banias explains.
There's a theory that exists out there called the electromagnetic plasma changeover event. The EMCO, as it's come to be known, is where there will be some sort of cataclysmic occurrence where the poles of the planet will switch places. So the South Pole will become the North Pole. Our entire magnetic field that surrounds our planet will be thrown into chaos. Life on this planet would end as we know it.
Some who believe in IMCO think that when Earth's magnetic field is down during the switch, portals of cataclysmic plasma will open up in the sky. And these videos are a sign of those portals trying to open.
Look at this. Look at that.
We have this belief that one of the stages of the apocalypse are these mysterious portals that open up and they unleash plasma onto the world. And as the theory goes, this plasma is blue in color.
Now, Earth's magnetic poles do regularly switch about every 200,000 years. But there's no evidence these blue lights have any connection to that, not to mention plasma portals. So what is causing these sightings around the world? Time for our experts to illuminate us. Mick West believes the videos are connected, but for a different reason.
There's obviously something in common going on here. And I think what's in common between these blue lights is they're all caused by electrical faults. Because when a transformer blows up, an arc of electricity makes this very, very bright arc of blue light.
In fact, there is documentation of such an event on the night of the video from New York City.
There was a fire at a transformer station over in Queens. So that explains exactly what we're seeing here. And if you line up this view, you will see that that's where the transformer station actually is, just a bit over the horizon. And it's lighting up the clouds just above it.
So how does an electrical reaction on the ground cause such a display in the sky? According to atmospheric sciences professor Deanna Hentz, the cloud conditions on these particular nights plays a significant role.
This kind of solid sheet of cloud would be known as stratus clouds. They're very reflective. It's exceedingly common that these kinds of low clouds will reflect the either ambient or point light sources that are underneath them.
The low stratus clouds also greatly amplify the eerie glow of these explosions.
It's not like a mirror where you get a very crisp, clean reflection. Instead, things are reflecting off of millions of tiny little drops. And the result of that is that that will actually spread the light out in this very diffuse way to be able to be seen from a distance.
So, our verdict. All of these videos from around the world are the result of transformer explosions on the ground. There is not, in fact, an impending plasma apocalypse. So don't worry. If the world ends tomorrow, it will be for some other reason. It's October in Anchorage, and Chip Freeman has grabbed his digital camera to document some fresh snow around his house. Yes, it snows in October up there, so that's not a surprise, but what his camera is about to record certainly is. As we pan across Chip's property, a strange stationary vertical purple beam of light appears in front of him. And it's still there when he pans the camera back to the same spot. Chip says he noticed the strange beam as he was rolling.
I kind of paused for a moment, trying to figure out what this was. I took my eye off the viewer and noticed that I couldn't see it by the naked eye. It was only through the camera lens that you could see this, which also was intriguing.
Journalist MJ Benaya says this area of Alaska is a hotbed of strange happenings.
There's a lot of stories out there where there's strange electromagnetic forces or portals that exist in this area. Similar to a lot of the theories that exist around the Bermuda Triangle, random gateways to other worlds will open up or wormholes will occur and planes will go missing into them.
A stunning 16,000 people have reportedly vanished in the so-called Alaska Triangle since the late 80s. Field researcher Ken Gerhardt has actually been up here to research such activity.
Some of the stranger cases that I've investigated, back in 1950, for example, a Douglas C-54D military craft, an airplane with 44 personnel on board, vanished on the Alaska-Yukon border without a trace. And there was a massive search mounted, and to this day, no trace of that particular airplane has ever been found.
Gerhardt thinks Chip's sighting could be some of the same anomalous energy fields emanating from below the Alaska Triangle that are also rumored to cause many of the strange disappearances in the area.
Lights like this could in fact be geological or electromagnetic discharges from the Earth, basically concentrated energy beams that are being projected upward into the heavens.
I really do want to know what this is. There's just so many strange phenomena that happens here.
Perhaps the most famous incident in the Alaska Triangle happened in 1972, when a plane carrying U.S. Congressman Hale Boggs disappeared there without a trace. So might those unsolved mysteries actually connect somehow to what Chip caught on camera? Chip, you know what's coming next. Astrophysicist Hakeem Oluseyi initially thinks this is not the result of an energy portal, but instead light interacting with a transparent surface. However,
what I saw looked to me like a sort of optical effect that I've seen on glass. So I could see that sort of effect, like a reflection. But it turns out that the camera's outdoors. They're not looking through a window.
The beam would stay centered if it were a mere reflection, so this beam instead could be a spectrum of light that the camera sensor can pick up, but that the human eye can't. But Oluseyi also has his doubts.
Typically, if you had a beam like this, because the ultraviolet or X-ray has such short wavelengths, they're going to be very strongly scattered in the air.
If this were an invisible energy discharge being picked up by the camera, we would see more of a static effect emanating from the center of the beam than the concentrated line in Chip's video. Photography expert Andrew McCarthy believes the answer does in fact involve visible light, and how when it's particularly bright, it can cause a glitch in how an individual pixel on a digital camera sensor processes one part of the image, aka the readout.
Basically what happens is once the readout gets too high on a specific pixel, it bleeds into the neighboring pixel. And if that happens excessively, it'll actually bleed down an entire stripe of pixels on that camera. That appears to be what we're looking at here.
Since the digital camera sensor is a grid of pixels, the line of purple light is actually a column of pixels being overloaded by sunlight in one spot. And the age of the camera is another clue.
This image came from 2004. So those sensors back then are a little bit different. They don't have today's modern technology that prevents artifacts like this.
So Chip, here's where we are landing. That purple light beam is the result of overexposure on the camera's digital sensor, and while the footage is not connected to the anomalies in the Alaska Triangle, the high rate of disappearances in the region should still give the rest of us food for thought when visiting.